Hi, I'm Julian, Baird, photographer and filmmaker from Devon, and welcome to Discovering Dartmoor. A few years ago, I asked myself the questions, what do I know about Dartmoor? What makes this place so unique? And when I couldn't answer those questions, I made a commitment to myself to not only see more of Dartmoor, but to learn more about it. And from that commitment, Discovering Dartmoor was born, a 5-part video series where I explore and photograph 24 of Dartmoor's finest locations and speak to some of Dartmoor's most passionate ambassadors so I could find out for myself what makes Dartmoor so special. Coming up in this episode, I'm denied access to a tour, I go wild camping on one of Dartmoor's most remote tours, I have a conversation with the tour bagger himself, Max Piper, and I go to my final location for the series, Yes Tor. But let's start this episode with a trip to Dartmoor's most southern tour. Good afternoon and welcome to Ugborough Beacon, which just happens to be Dartmoor's most southerly tour. And it's also the start point for my little walk that I've got planned this afternoon. It's sort of early afternoon just now. Weather conditions aren't exactly spectacular. It is very, very windy, but it is supposed to calm down a bit later on. And hopefully by the time I come back here, the conditions will have improved and I might get some photographs of this tour here. In the meantime, I'm going to take a walk along that way there. I've had a look at it on the map and there are quite a few interesting things for me to have a look at. So why don't you join me and we'll take a look. Just past the beacon, I take a little time to take in the view. Ugborough Moor stretches out in front of me and I can see for miles. With such great visibility, navigation is going to be easy today, but I imagine it wouldn't take much to get lost up here when the conditions are poor. The first item of interest I come across is a 15th century Spurrell's cross. Over the centuries it has suffered a lot of damage to the head and I can also see the shaft has been replaced. But thanks to some dedicated people it has been restored to the condition that you see now. Spurrell's Cross is also the point where I join the Two Moors Way and the walking and navigation become easier. Along the way there are numerous boundary stones. This one marks the boundary between Ugborough Moor and Harford Moor. I decide to leave the Two Moors Way to go and look at something interesting. I'm here at the Three Barrows, and the Barrows are these rather large collections of rock here. I've got this one here behind me, the one I passed just as I was getting here, and there's another one there behind me. Now no one's entirely sure what they were used for. They could have been used for navigational reasons or as boundary markers or even as memorials. But whatever they're used for, they're quite a striking addition to this wild part of Dartmoor. And it is feeling quite wild at the moment. The wind has picked back up again. It's got cloudy again. It's definitely got a little bit nippy, but I can still see some fantastic views. I can see all the way over in that direction. And if I look over that direction, I can see Plymouth as well. So it's a good day for a walk. Chilly, but I'm having a good time and there's plenty more to see. So why don't we carry on? So I've come a little along the path, not too far actually. I can still see Three Barrows there on the hillside, and I've come to a place called Leftlake Myers Pit, obviously disused now, but I think it was probably quite a substantial operation because as I was coming around those last couple of bends, there were quite a lot of outbuildings, so obviously quite a lot of work went on here, and I would imagine it would have been pretty hard graft up here. I feel exposed up here, there's a lot of wind, it's cold. I wouldn't fancy working up here, I have to say. But if I was to follow that path along, I had a look in the map, I would actually join back up with Quick Beam Hill, so I could actually make quite a nice little loop here. I'm not going to. I've actually not got too much time left to get back to the beacon to capture my photograph, so I think I'm going to leave you here and I'm going to make a fast walk back to Ugborough Beacon. But it's been an absolutely fantastic journey up here, very wild, very remote, but yeah, still so much to learn about, so much to discover. But I will leave you with the photographs that I capture back at the beacon, and I'll see you next time. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't that great when I got back to the beacon, so I had to return the next day when the conditions were much better. I must go back to that part of Dartmoor again soon and join it up with a walk to Quick Beam Hill, which I visited in episode 4. Back to this episode though, and time for a conversation with one of Dartmoor's most enthusiastic ambassadors, Max Piper. Let's head to Emsworthy near Haytor and find out a little bit about Max. You'd think that Dartmoor being just over 365 square miles, that there's not much more to discover, that everyone knows everything about Dartmoor. Well, that's not quite the case. There are still areas that are worthy of discovery, and there's always new things to find. Unfortunately for us, there's a group of people out there, a group of dedicated individuals who like to explore the nooks and crannies of Dartmoor. And I'm very fortunate to be joined by one of them today, Mr. Max Piper. Max,
hello.
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you for joining me in this
Pleasure.
Another sunny evening on Dartmoor.
Gorgeous, absolutely
It's
wonderful.
absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic. People are going to get really the wrong impression from my video, that they're going to think Dartmoor is hot and sunny all the time. But it's not. We just seem to be having a rare spell of weather. Now, you're known for a number of things. You live near Dartmoor,
Yep.
you work in Dartmoor, you explore Dartmoor, you've written a book on parts of Dartmoor.
Yes, I have, yes.
You're really all about Dartmoor, aren't you?
Yes, Dartmoor is me. I just love the moor. I've been up here so many times since I was a young boy. My family, they lived on the moors and took me up here, and the passion has just become more and more fulfilled. When I come up here, I feel like I come alive. I am Dartmoor. Being up here, the tours, the people, the history, there's just so much up here to see, the views. There's always a different day on Dartmoor, and for me, that's what gets me out of bed every morning, I would say.
If you're a stick of rock and we cut you in half, it literally would say Dartmoor through the middle,
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
it probably would, yeah.
So, I mean, you talk about you've been coming to Dartmoor since an early age. What's your sort of first memory of Dartmoor?
My first memory would probably be coming up to Haytor Rocks in the quarry just behind there. Probably in the snow with the dogs.
Really?
Yeah, we used to get quite a lot of heavy snow around Haytor Vale and up on Haytor, more than we do now. And I just remember coming up here with the sledge, you know, coming up here.
Fantastic. And so where are we just now then?
So we are at Emsworthy Rocks.
Right.
Yes.
Now, I've probably mistakenly used to call this Emsworthy Tor, but Emsworthy Rocks, not just this particular spot here.
No.
It's a bit of a
It's
wide
huge.
area, isn't
It's
it?
this giant rock ridge that extends some few hundred metres up towards the main road up there, yeah.
And you did something interesting about Emsworthy Rocks with OS Maps, didn't you?
Yes. So a couple of years ago, I contacted the Ordnance Survey, the mapping company based in Southampton, and asked them quite politely if they would maybe consider adding Emsworthy Rocks, the name, onto their maps, because I feel like it's a place that people should know about and know the name of.
But this is quite a well-known area, despite
Yes.
it not being on the map.
Yeah.
But you are equally as well known for kind of highlighting, I think you call it the LKTs, the lesser known tours.
Yes, lesser known tours.
Yeah. So how did that start about?
So about, I'm just trying to think now, 6 or 7 years ago, I came into contact with Tim Jenkinson, who has been writing for the Dartmoor magazine since the 1990s, and he has mostly concentrated his work on lesser known tours of Dartmoor. And I came into contact with him, messaged him on Flickr, and since then we went out for walks and discovered lesser known tours of Dartmoor, along with Paul Buck, who runs a website called morelandwalker.co.uk. And the three of us collectively launched the website toursofdartmoor.co.uk in 2019 to mostly document the lesser known tours of Dartmoor, which people should hopefully be inspired to visit.
Well, are there any LKTs that we might be able to visit this evening?
Indeed there are. There are quite a few.
Oh,
yes.
excellent, right. So we're going to take a look then.
Let's do it.
Come on then, let's go. Max has some great energy and his enthusiasm for Dartmoor is infectious. We'll rejoin Max a little bit later, but first, let's go somewhere where I am not welcome. It's only a short walk from the main road to Vixen Tor, and I can see it already in the distance. Also in the distance, I can see some of the locations I've already visited, such as King's Tor and Ugborough Tor. I'm soon crossing over an overflowing Grimstone and Salt Ridge Leat. Though my walking boots are waterproof, it's possible that welly boots might have been a better choice. Or maybe even a small canoe. After carefully crossing a few temporary streams, I arrive at Vixen Tor, but this rock is as close as I'll get. Welcome to Vixen Tor. Well, I say welcome, but clearly we're not welcome because there's no public access there and there's barbed wire all along this wall. In fact, the whole Vixen Tor is out of bounds. It's all on private property. And despite the vast majority of Dartmoor being open to public access, whether it's on common land or private land, you can wander about pretty well anywhere. But this is one of the few, if not the only Tor you can't access. It's got a bit of a long history about it. I think those new private owners took it on in 2003 and they were advised apparently by their insurance company that unless they paid a hefty premium, they'd have to close it off. And that's exactly what they did. And they put all this fencing round, wrote no public access all over the walls, all the way around, really discouraging people from accessing it. Now, a number of legal challenges and protests were done over the years, but nothing has really come from that, and unfortunately it still remains closed to public access. However, that doesn't mean it's not worth exploring or not worth capturing some photographs. It's a bit of a variable weather forecast days, lots of cloud about, but there's some nice gaps in the sky, and I'm going to take a wander down that way where I hope the view will open up a bit more. I'll see a bit more of the Tor and then I'll get my photograph. With stone walls and barbed wire, it's clear that you aren't welcome to take a closer look at Vixen Tor. However, after one last water crossing, I'm sure that a more distant viewpoint will actually give me a better view. And right enough, I've got a cracking view of Vixen Tor. I don't know how I managed it, but I actually managed to keep my feet dry despite all that water. But just as I expected, when I got round the corner, the view of the Tor really opened up, the sun broke through the clouds, and I managed to get my photograph. So despite not being able to access all of the Tor and get right in there and, you know, have a look about and see what the geology was, it was still a wonderful place to come and a beautiful evening to capture photographs. But that's it for now. I'm going to head off and I'll see you at the next location. It's definitely a shame that the public can't access Vixen Tor properly, but despite the barbed wire fences and the keep out signs, there still remains a beautiful place to visit, and there are some great viewpoints if you just take a few steps back. One place where you're not so restricted is the Haytor area, so let's rejoin Max as we visit Holwell Tor and a chat about tor bagging.
So I have brought you to Little Holwell Tor, which is a lesser known Tor.
Excellent. Oh, I feel quite happy. This is my first LKT bagged. So what can you tell me about it then? So
Little Holwell Tor is, to some perhaps, the southernmost outcrop of Holwell Tor, which is a massive tor on the eastern side of Dartmoor below Haytor, just to the west of Haytor. The name Little Holwell Tor was suggested by Tim Jenkinson in, I think it was 2013, because it feels like quite a detached outcrop, and it'd be great to get people to visit this side of the Tor.
Yeah, I guess you're a Tor bagger?
Yes, a Tor bagger, yes.
So I guess that's similar to people that bag Munros and stuff like that, but you know, what is a tour bagger?
So a tour bagger is someone who aims to visit all of the named tors and rocks on Dartmoor. Every person has their own list of how many tors and rocks there are, because unlike Munros, there's no definitive list. But the idea is just to get people out visiting the rocks and enjoying them more.
Is there still tors undiscovered, do you think?
Yes, well, I think the main problem is what a tor actually is. Is a tor something that is on the OS map as a named tor, or is a tor something that is a rocky outcrop that might not be called tor, like High Willhays? It depends. I mean, some outcrops, well, many outcrops have actually been named by enthusiasts in recent years.
So of the list, how many is on your list, for example?
So my list of significant tors and rocky outcrops, including boulders with certain inscriptions, we have just over 900.
Wow, I didn't realize there was that many. Dare I ask how many have you ticked off? Just
over 900. So I've got I think 9 left. I checked yesterday.
Wow.
That I'm aware of anyway.
You're a busy boy, aren't you, when it comes to visiting and exploring Dartmoor?
Yeah, I love the rocks.
Yeah, that's excellent. So this is the LKT for this one, but I think we're going to go and see its big brother just up there,
yes,
aren't we?
we are, Holwell Tor.
Yeah, well, let's go and take a look at that then. Excellent.
Let's go. So we have stopped on the beautiful Holwell Tor.
Oh, excellent. So this is the kind of big brother for the one we've just visited.
Yes.
And this is, I guess, a more of a well-known tour rather than a lesser-known tour.
It is. It's marked on the map.
Marked on the maps. Excellent. Now, it's been really fascinating walking about here, and you've been pointing things out to me. Clearly, you're very knowledgeable, very passionate about sharing the information. You got a website as well, don't you?
Yes, I have. So I document my adventures, also other things I do, like the South West Coast Path, but mostly Dartmoor, the tours I've visited and photographs I take. That's not your only outlet for your passion, is it? You also work for the National Park, don't you? Yes, I do, yes. And what do you do for the National Park? I'm a seasonal information advisor at the Haytor Visitor Centre. And what does that involve? So that involves selling the products in the shop, but also advising people on places to go on Dartmoor. Right. Some people might have just arrived on the moor and they might want to go for a walk or they might want to go for a drive. So I guess it's quite busy at this time of year? Yes, peak season. So we get a lot of people, a lot of coaches, and it's just about telling people the best places to go on the moor and making their day enjoyable. So if I was to walk into the visitor centre and I was fortunate enough to speak to you, where would you send me this evening? So this evening I would probably send you up around where we are now, actually, the Haytor area, around Holwell Tor, for the views and the because I think we can see Haytor in the background there, can't we? Yes, we can. Yeah, I mean, the views here are pretty commanding, aren't they? Yes, stunning. I feel quite fortunate that you've come out with me. It's like I've got a personal tour from the National Park Authority myself. So we're going to carry on and do a bit more, aren't we? So where are we going to go? We're going to head over in this direction? Yes, that tour over there, Smallacombe Rocks. Excellent. Right, shall we go then? Let's do it. Come on then, this is brilliant. The number of Dartmoor tours and rocks that Max has visited is very impressive. I need to up my tour bagging game, I think. While Dartmoor is full of tours, rocks, big and small, few are as impressive as Watern Tor. But before I take you there, here's a quick message from me. I just want to quickly interrupt this episode of Discovering Dartmoor to say a big thanks to you, the people that are watching. Discovering Dartmoor for me is a passion project, not a commercial venture or a profit-making exercise. Everything that went into this series was produced by me. All the planning, research, writing, scouting, on-location filming, interviews, photography and editing was all done by just me. I even did my own hair, makeup and wardrobe. But the best bit of all that work is that I get to share Discovering Dartmoor with you on YouTube for free forever. And if you've got this far through the episode, it probably means you're enjoying it. And if you are, then that makes all that hard work worth it. But you might also be saying, Julian, how can I show my support for this wonderful series? Well, there are 3 simple things that you can do that would mean so much to me, and that's like, comment and share. So if you are enjoying this episode, you'll find the like button just underneath the video. Press that, and then just below that you can also leave me a comment, preferably a nice one. But the most important and best thing you can do is share this video. Let your friends, family and colleagues know about the series. Talk to them, WhatsApp them, share it in a Facebook group. However you do it, it would mean the world to me. But if you really like Discovering Dartmoor and you want to show your appreciation by buying me a cup of coffee, then that would be truly amazing. Just below this video, next to the like button,
you'll find the thanks button. And by clicking that, you can make a one-time donation that, in all likelihood, I will actually spend in coffee. I love coffee. As a landscape photographer that loves photographing sunrise, I depend on coffee. It keeps me going. But please do like, comment and share. Right, thank you for listening. Let's get back to the episode. There are many routes to Watern Tor, but I decided to start at Backworthy Corner, just north of Fenworthy Reservoir. I can already see Watern Tor in the distance. It's just over 3 kilometres as the crow flies. I am, however, not a crow, and I must take a slightly longer route. Not that this is a problem when you have such fine views to enjoy along the way. It's a good path and the walking is easy going. It's good to know though that I'm not alone out here. Though the navigation isn't difficult, it's nice to know that I have a stone wall that will lead me almost all the way. Of course, it wouldn't be an adventure in Dartmoor if there wasn't at least one river or stream to cross. I hope my bovine friend over there appreciates the solitude of Dartmoor as much as I do. The stone wall stretches out as far as the eye can see. Unfortunately, this last stretch is all uphill. With such a heavy bag on my back, it's hard going. Well, that was a bit of a hike, but looking at my destination there, I think it was well worth the effort. But before I start to tell you more about this place and to photograph it, I've got something I need to do first. This is a tent. That can only mean one thing, is that I'm camping here tonight. Now I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's quite a long walk to come out here, which means it's quite a long walk back once the sun sets. So I thought if I camp here overnight, I get to actually photograph the tour both tonight, which I'm not so sure will be great because it's quite cloudy. More importantly, I'll get to shoot it first thing in the morning when the sun rises from over that direction. Well, that's if the conditions will give me any light in the morning. That's the plan anyway, so I'm gonna have a little bit of an adventure, enjoy the wilderness of Dartmoor, because look at this place, it's just absolutely fabulous. There's nothing here apart from a few sheep and a couple of ponies. Well, I truly am out in the wild and the conditions are a little bit wild, not too bad. I think I'm going to be all right for camping tonight. There's a big black cloud over there. It's not shifting, unfortunately, so I don't think I'm going to get any photographs tonight, but that's why I'm camping. I'm going to be trying for the photographs tomorrow when the sun's rising from that direction. But even still, even with this black cloud, this is a truly fantastic location to explore and discover. I can see over there I've got Wild Tor, Steeperton Tor, and even got Bellstone Tor over there in the distance. So there's plenty to look at. And talking of looking at stuff, I'm going to go and have a look at the tour and I'll talk to you about a couple of its interesting features. I've learned many things on my Discovering Dartmoor journey, and one area where I've had my knowledge expanded is geology. And all along this tour, along its various outcrops, you'll see these horizontal lines. It's one of the most distinctive features of this tour, and I know that this is called horizontal jointing. I think I learned about it way back at Higher Tor. So it's really interesting when you come to a tour like this and you have that expanded knowledge and you know some of the geology behind this. But more than the horizontal jointing, there's something even more interesting I want to show you. And this is what I wanted to show you. This gap here between these two rock stacks is called the thurlestone. At some point in its history, these two rocky outcrops would have been joined together at the top, and then at some point they're separated out to give this gap, and it's been called the thurlestone. Really interesting. I don't think I've seen anything like this on Dartmoor before. You know, I talk about understanding the geology of how these horizontal jointings came about, but I would really like to know how this kind of process works how you end up with a big gap like this. That aside though, it's just quite the thing just to look at. It's amazing, all these amazing things that you find on Dartmoor. Right, I'm going to retire to my luxury accommodation and I'm keeping my fingers crossed all night. I'm going to get some nice conditions for the photographs in the morning. I'll see you then. The following morning, I wake up to find the cloud has cleared and the sun, which is yet to rise, is producing a beautiful orange glow along the horizon. Below me, I can see fog as far as the eye can see. Up here though, as the sun peaks above the horizon, it casts soft morning light across the landscape. The conditions are perfect for photography. There are few things better in life than watching a sunrise over Dartmoor. But as I found out on this little adventure, you can make that even more enjoyable by coming out to the wilds of Dartmoor and getting this nice big expansive view and watching the sun come up and cast its light across the landscape. And that wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't come up here and done some wild camping. So it was well worth all that effort of lugging all that gear, that tent, and not having a very good night's sleep to watch that sunrise, because it was brilliant. This morning there was a bit of mist along the ground, clear skies, sun came up, cast light across all the outcrops of the Tor here, catching that horizontal joint in. And I got some photographs that I'm really happy with. A very pleasant morning, and like I say, well worth the effort. Now, I'm all packed up, I'm ready to walk back to the car, but do you know what? I am not in a hurry. It's only about 7:30 in the morning. I think I'm just going to hang here for a bit and just look at that view, because that is a view to be appreciated. I'll see you at the next location. I have to admit, I don't sleep very well when I'm wild camping, but when you visit locations like Watern Tor and you get to see sunset and sunrise, all that effort is worth it. Now, we're going to return to my conversation with Max for the final time, but before that, here is one last message from me. I just want to interrupt this episode of Discovering Dartmoor to talk to you about the photography of Discovering Dartmoor. Throughout my Discovering Dartmoor journey, I've been capturing landscape photographs of the locations I have visited, some of which you will have already seen in this episode. And while I am very proud to share my Discovering Dartmoor landscape photographs in this video series, for me, the best way to view any photograph is in the printed format. We're all used to scrolling through photographs on social media platforms, but viewing a photograph in printed format is a totally different experience. It's a richer, more engaging experience. And that's why I'm incredibly excited to let you know that I've collated all 55 landscape photographs from the Discovering Dartmoor series and published them in this small softcover book, or as it's more commonly known these days, a zine. All 55 landscape photographs from the video series are included, from Arms Tour to Yes Tour and everything in between. The zine is printed professionally using high quality papers on both the cover and inner pages, ensuring my photographs are displayed in the best possible way. There's also an introduction written by myself and a foreword that has been written by Max Piper. Max has a deep connection with Dartmoor and is also the author of the book East Dartmoor's Lesser Known Tours. So I was delighted when he agreed to write the foreword for my publication. You'll also see Max feature in one of the Discovering Dartmoor episodes if you haven't seen him already. Landscape photography is my passion, and being able to publish this collection of Discovering Dartmoor photographs is one of the highlights of producing this series. If you'd like to purchase a copy, then just head to discoveringdartmoor.com, where you can order one today. Now, one final thing, if you're looking for something a bit bigger, such as a print to hang on your wall, then there is also a limited collection of Discovering Dartmoor photographs to purchase as individual prints. Again, just head to discoveringdartmoor.com for more details. Thank you for your time, and now back to the episode. So this is Smallacombe Rock?
Smallacombe Rocks, yes.
Smallacombe Rock. And we were just saying there, we're having a little chat as we're walking along, how nice it is to be out in Dartmoor. And it's certainly, even from my own personal perspective, one of the ways I like to relax is to come out into Dartmoor and just go for a walk. It's not all about filming and doing photography. I like to enjoy it because it clears my head. But as we were talking about that, you mentioned about how Dartmoor has kind of changed your own mental and physical health.
Yeah, it has. So Dartmoor, I've been able to lose weight by walking on Dartmoor quite extensively, I would say weekly.
Yeah.
But also mentally, it's helped me through, perhaps you could say, difficult times. Maybe it's college, it's school, and I think it's made me a better person. I think being out in nature makes you a better person. You connect to nature, you immerse yourself within nature, and that's just amazing.
It's just amazing, yeah, because you don't have any of the distractions of regular life. And I was out myself, as I said to you a couple of mornings ago, and I was just sat there just listening to the morning bird song, and it was quite deafening at one point, but it was just being tuned into nature. I just felt really relaxed. I guess you get similar types of experience.
I do, just to be able to come out into the landscape and just to perhaps be quiet sometimes. And it's quite difficult, but just to be quiet and just to listen to the dawn chorus, the bird songs, and just the natural sounds like the cows, the sheep, these lovely sounds.
Yeah, and it must be great actually working for the National Park Authority and sending people out and I guess sometimes they come back and they can tell you about those experiences, about how relaxing or how invigorating it's been.
Yes, I always love listening to people's stories, and it's just a great job, really.
So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is obviously that passion for being outdoors in Dartmoor and doing all that walking stuff. You've done the brave decision, and I think it's always brave when people write a book.
Yeah.
I mean, you've written a book. I mean, how does that make you feel that you've had a book published?
I don't know, it hasn't quite settled in yet.
So it's called East Dartmoor's Lesser Known Tors and Rocks. So we were talking about LKTs back there. So what's in this book?
So in this book, you will find information about 300 rocky outcrops on the eastern side of the moor, all of which, when the book was written, the names weren't on the OS maps. Emsworthy Rocks, Watern Tor are a couple of examples that are now on the OS maps, but still the majority of the rocks in here have never received the recognition on Ordnance Survey maps.
Well, how do you name them then?
So when it comes to naming outcrops, we always try to look back through historical archives. So Western Morning News, on the British Newspaper Archive, like the Western Times, looking back to see old names. Also the type apportionments of the 1840s.
Crikey. On
the Devon County Council website, old Ordnance Survey maps, and speaking to local people as well. Yeah.
It's full of great photographs. I mean, and you've got OS map coordinates.
Yes.
This must have been quite the effort to get this done.
A labour of love.
A labour of love. So I've got my copy, which I'm very happy with, but what if people want to buy a copy? They can buy it direct from yourself?
Yes, so people can buy it directly from my website, www.torbagger.co.uk. They can also buy it from Paul Rendell, so that's paulrendell.co.uk online. Also local bookshops, so West Country Books in Newton Abbot, the Ivy Bridge Bookshop, and Dogberry and Finch Books, Oakhampton. And
you've signed my copy, but I believe if they get from your website, you'll sign it as well?
Yes, I can sign it upon request.
Excellent. Oh no, this is really fascinating. I can't wait to actually have a look at this, and it's one of the great reasons about doing this project, meeting authors like yourself, people with a real passion, because as I try and delve deeper into Dartmoor, meeting people with more experience and knowledge for me is all part of that journey. And just, it's fascinating that there's so many little locations just in this small area of Dartmoor that are just ready to be explored for the first time for me as well. So I see this is really interesting. So I would encourage anyone who's even got a remote interest in exploring a bit deeper into this area to get a copy of this book. Max, can I just say it's been an absolute pleasure walking with you tonight. I mean, we have obviously lucked out with the weather, I think.
Definitely.
If it had been chucking it down, you know,
wouldn't be so pleasant.
It wouldn't be so pleasant, but it's just nice to walk along here, enjoy the scenery, and talk to someone that's so passionate about Dartmoor. So thanks very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Max. Cheers.
Take care.
I had a fantastic time with Max, talking and walking around the Tor area. Please do take a look at his website and consider buying his book. There's enough locations and points of interest in there to keep you busy for a very long time. Well, I can't believe I'm saying this, but not only are we about to head to the last location in this episode, but it's also the last location in this series. Yes Tor is the end of my Discovering Dartmoor journey, or at least at the end of this chapter of my Discovering Dartmoor journey. Let's head to Yes Tor and watch the sunrise. For many people, the 360-degree views from Yes Tor make the challenging uphill walk well worth it. For me though, the best time is to make that walk in the dark in the hope that you will see the sunrise. Because there is nothing better than seeing that view in the golden light of the rising sun. It is also the perfect time to capture some landscape photographs. With my photographs captured, I descend Yes Tor and head into the light to make a short walk to a special location. Welcome to the rooftop of Devon and Dartmoor's highest point, High Willhays. And there's no way I could do my Discovering Dartmoor journey without at least bringing you to the highest point on Dartmoor. Now I have visited here myself a few times, and as you can see, it's not much of a tor. In fact, there is no tor here. It's just this collection of rocks here. It's a lot less grand than its neighbouring tor over there, Yes Tor, but it is 2 metres higher. It is like I said, the highest point in Devon, highest point in the southwest. In order to get higher, you're actually probably going to have to go into Wales and start climbing some mountains. So this really is high up for the southwest, and on a good day, I mean the visibility is a little bit hazy today, but you can see for miles and miles around. So if you do come to this part of Dartmoor, it's well worth making the effort to get up to Yes Tor and then making this little excursion to come along to High Willhays. I mean, there's not much to talk about High Willhays, apart from the interesting fact that it is, yes, 2 metres taller than Yes Tor, and I've walked most of the area around here. No matter where you look at High Willhays from, it always looks like Yes Tor is taller. But yes, according to the OS maps, this place is the highest point. It is just a smidgen of 2 metres higher than Yes Tor. But yeah, what a fantastic place. I can see the open moorland there. I can see Thurlestone Tor off there in the distance. But I just wanted to come along here and show you High Willhays. I'm going to take a walk back along to Yes Tor, talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to talk about Discovering Dartmoor, because yeah, this is the last location. I can't believe it, after all this time good filming the locations, I've finally arrived at Yes Tor and my final location. So yeah, grab the bag and let's take a walk back. Welcome back to Yes Tor. Now, while this might not be Dartmoor's highest point, it is in fact Dartmoor's highest tor. Because as I said back there, High Willhays isn't actually a tor. Yes Tor is a tor, obviously, and just 2 metres lower down than High Willhays, it does make it Dartmoor's highest tor. And up here, as with obviously High Willhays, people come up here for the views. They're absolutely fantastic. 360 degrees, I can see just about everywhere, including Oakhampton down there. There's some mist and fog still over there. I can see, oh, that's Great Links Tor and all the other tors some of the tors I've explored throughout this journey. I can see way there in the distance. They almost look a little bit far down, actually. I'm so high up. But it is a really interesting place to come. People do come here for the views, but this place is also in the middle of the Oakhampton military zone, so there's a bit of military infrastructure here as well. There's a couple of observation points, obviously, because you get some great views to see what the troops are doing on their exercises. I've got a military firing flagpole at the moment. It's obviously not up, there's no red flag. If there was, I probably been a little bit of danger because of live firing, so that's not there. So, and then the other thing is obviously the trig point there behind me. But it is a grand tour. Hopefully you saw some of the pictures this morning, and it's a really fantastic place to photograph. It's a really fantastic place to come and visit, and obviously quite a fitting way to end my Discovering Dartmoor journey, high up here on the hills of Dartmoor. But it's a bit windy up here, a bit nippy, so I'm going to go down there and we'll talk a little bit more about what this project and what this series has meant to me. Well, I can't believe it. I'm actually here. I'm at the final location of my Discovering Dartmoor journey, and what an amazing location to finish on. I always sort of knew I was going to finish in Yes Tor, and look at the day that I've got. It's absolutely glorious. What a day for being up in Dartmoor. I've already seen lots of people up here, campers and fell runners and walkers, already out this morning enjoying the moors. And now that we're at the end of this Discovering Dartmoor project, I guess it's time to look back on the adventure. When I first had the idea, I kind of mulled over it for a little while, and then I sketched it out and drew a plan of what I wanted to do, and more importantly, why I wanted to achieve it. And that has always been the important driver for this, has been learning more about Dartmoor so I can have a better appreciation for it, so I can understand it more, and hopefully my enjoyment of when the time I come out to the moors is greatly increased, and my photography will also be better as a result. But from that plan, I originally thought, well, you know, it'll take me a few weeks, maybe 6 weeks, maybe 6 months tops. But, you know, how wrong was I? Life also gets in the way. The project has been more time consuming, it's been more difficult than I first anticipated. I've had to deal with a lot of serious personal issues as well, which has delayed filming. But the one thing that I never let go of was why I was doing it, and that I was going to complete it. I was always determined that I would finish this series, finish this adventure, and publish it and share it with the world. And I have to say, it has been an almighty adventure. It's been absolutely amazing. Coming to locations like this, I've filmed over, I think, 24 of these locations. Sometimes filming more than once, sometimes filming doesn't go so well. I twisted my ankle at one location. But every visit out was special, was unique, and it was an adventure. And if I just try and think back about some of the highlights from those individual locations, I mean, of course, I'd never forget starting this journey at Arms Tor, that very first location. Another particular highlight was finally reaching Thurlestone Tor. I've been looking at Thurlestone Tor on the map for years and always wondered whether I'd have the courage to make that walk. So glad that this adventure kind of encouraged me to find the confidence to do that and walk all the way out to that spectacular location. And of course, how could I forget visiting Grimspound and learning about the history of that area and learning about the history of Dartmoor in general, something I never thought I'd hear myself saying, but it was one of those goals of this adventure, was to learn more about the history of Dartmoor. And then, of course, going to Higher Tor and learning about boundary markers and some of Dartmoor's incredibly complex and fascinating geology. And then taking a wander around King's Tor and finding bits of London Bridge, a real surprise. Of course, I'll never forget that morning at Meldon with the mist rolling over the reservoir and down the dam. One of the most spectacular sights I think I've seen on Dartmoor. Absolutely amazing. And my wild camping adventure to Watern Tor. Wow, that was just amazing. Fantastic walkout, great location to do some wild camp, and then watching the sun come up and looking at that tour and its geology. What a place. I will definitely be going back there. And the list goes on. And this is the great thing about actually having filmed my Discovering Dartmoor adventure, is that I can look back on all the locations that I visited and all the photographs that I've taken. I've got a permanent record, a permanent memory of my adventure on Dartmoor. But one of the other really critical goals for me for Discovering Dartmoor was not just learning my own personal journey around learning more about Dartmoor, but I wanted to learn more about the people who lived and worked on Dartmoor as well. So it was really important for me in discovering Dartmoor to engage with people who either, like I say, live or work in Dartmoor. And that has been a particular highlight for me. Again, if I just look back at the people that I've spoken to, it all started with Tom and Kelly from the DPA, and we spent a wonderful afternoon up on Dartmoor, and I learned about the really important and critical work that the DPA do. And I'll never, of course, forget my walking adventure with Josephine Collingwood as we went up to Great Links Tor, and she told me all about the geology of Dartmoor. It was truly fascinating. And I will definitely never forget my walk around the Haytor area with Max Piper. What a thoroughly engaging and enthusiastic ambassador for Dartmoor he is. And then there was my time with Mark Owen on his farm. Amazing what the work that he does there. It's just so much more than farming animals. It's looking after the landscape, looking after the habitat, and his passion for doing that, his enthusiasm, it's really, really infectious. And I had a most enjoyable walk with Emma Kunis and her dog, Sky. Emma's breadth of knowledge of Dartmoor was hugely impressive, but I also really enjoyed learning about her family history. For generations, her family have been visiting and learning, exploring, and even working on Dartmoor. And that kind of family connection is really infectious, and it's got me inspired to talk to my own children about my love of Dartmoor, to hopefully pass on some of that passion to my next generation. And there were lots of other people as well that helped contribute to the Discovering Dartmoor series as well, you know, whether it's photographs or allow me to read from books. I'd just like to extend my thanks to those people as well, and to thank everyone who got involved with the Discovering Dartmoor series. You all took a bit of a chance on me. You know, I'm a photographer, solo filmmaker. You know, I don't have a big crew, but when I explained my vision for what I was trying to do and why I was doing it, yeah, you all understood it and you got on board. So really, you know, without you giving up your valuable time and resources and your willingness to talk to me openly, you know, I really couldn't have made this series what it is. So I really have to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You really have made Discovering Dartmoor what it is. When I set out to create Discovering Dartmoor, I did have a goal, and that goal was to learn more about Dartmoor. As my friend said to me, you can't claim to love a place unless you know a place. And I realised I didn't really know Dartmoor as well as I thought I did. So I was really committed to learning more about Dartmoor. So I guess I have to look back and ask myself the question, have I achieved the goal? Have I learned more about Dartmoor? Well, the answer is a categorical yes. I know much more about Dartmoor than I ever did. Its geology, its history, its landscape, the people. I've been to lots of new locations, so it's ticked all the boxes, all the goals that I wanted to get from this project. And now that I'm at the end, I'm just delighted to have done it. It's, like I say, been time-consuming, 3 years of my life, but it's 3 years that I've really felt that it's time being well spent. So I guess the question is, now that I've completed Discovering Dartmoor, does that mean I know everything about Dartmoor? Well, no. The one thing it had highlighted is I know nothing about Dartmoor. I know very little about Dartmoor. Yes, I've scratched the surface on many of these topics, and my knowledge of Dartmoor is exponentially bigger than it was previously. But what it also has highlighted is how much there is to learn about Dartmoor. I mean, speaking to the people that I've interviewed on Discovering Dartmoor, they spend their lifetime learning about Dartmoor, and that's what's going to be the same for me. I'm never going to know everything about Dartmoor, nor do I want to know everything about Dartmoor. It's part of the excitement about Dartmoor now. It's not just coming out and photographing it, but it's about learning about this beautiful, beautiful landscape that I love to come and photograph. So yeah, while I might have a lifetime of learning to do about Dartmoor, it is a challenge I'm going to relish. I don't think there's much more to say now. I think this truly is the end of Discovering Dartmoor. I just want to say one last thanks, and that's to everyone who's taken the time To watch an episode, whether you watch 5 minutes or every minute of every episode, thank you so much for taking the time and coming with me on my Discovering Dartmoor journey. I do hope it's inspired you to come to Dartmoor, learn more about it, or even explore and discover and learn more about your local area. But what do I do now? Will there be a second series? I don't know, maybe there will be. Like I said, there's so much more to learn about Dartmoor. But there's only one thing I'm going to do now, and that's take in this view. It is a beautiful morning up here in Dartmoor. Look at that view. So I think I'm just going to sit here and just soak up that view and invigorate my soul, rejuvenate, get some energy back. Because I love this place and I'm so glad I've learned more about it.